Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video for you, we're going to talk about some armies that make really good use of the movement phase in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. These are going to be armies that do a variety of different things, and I've really tried to pick out some armies in this that make great use of the movement phase in different ways. Not all of these are going to be super fast armies, but some of them are going to have particular tricks and particular traits that they can do and employ while playing the game that make them great in the movement phase. The movement phase, I think, is probably the most important phase in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. It sets up all your potential in the shooting and the combat phase and the charge phase, obviously, to do the damage. Your hero phase is prepping for everything you can do, and your movement phase is what enables you to do the things you need to do. So, without, I guess, any more chit-chat from me, let's get cracking into this, and this is going to be 7 armies that master the movement phase in different ways. Number 1, and I guess where will we be without talking about Kharadron Overlords? For me, this is the best movement army in the entire game. And why? Well, their airships are why. Their airships have this fantastic rule called Fly High, which enables them to pick up the model off the table every turn and redeploy it 9 inches away from enemy units every single turn, and that's for all the airships. There are ways that your opponent can obviously negate this. If your airships take too much damage, they can't do it, but for the most part, these airships are going to be jumping around and taking Kharadron Overlords troops where they want to be. This enables the Kharadron to bring their arms to bear easily to their opponents and get those guns where they need to be. On top of that, they also have some decently fast units as well that have flying in the Engine Riggers and Skywardens. Obviously, you have the named character there as well, and the generic character, the Engine Master with Dirigible Suit. Kharadron Overlords just have a great way of playing in the movement game, and it's this redeploy and shoot type of play that has made them so lethal on the tabletop. Number 2, we have the Seraphon, and very much like the Kharadron Overlords, it's the ability to pick up units and redeploy them across the tabletop that makes Seraphon masters of the movement phase. Seraphon only get this though when they are playing the Starborn type of Seraphon army, and what this allows them to do is the Slan effectively can pick up Seraphon units and start throwing them about the tabletop. We do have some decent move options as well, as you do have cavalry and some monsters which have decent move, but this is nothing compared to the ability of your Slans to be throwing people around the table with their magic. You also have flying cavalry in both Pterodons and the Razordons, which is awesome. Flying is just a fantastic thing to have if you're an army really trying to make use of the movement phase. But as I mentioned, it is just that ability to pick up units and redeploy them where you want them, and once again get that firepower that Seraphon have where it needs to be to do the damage it needs to do in order for you to make the most out of all your units. Number 3, we have Idoneth Deepkin. Idoneth Deepkin make great use of the movement phase by the fact that all their heavy damage dealers like the Alapexes or the Achelian Guard, Morsar or Ishlayan all have the fly keyword, and all are pretty decent in their wounds as well, but that's not what we're here to talk about. For me, it's this fly keyword and ridiculous numbers for movement, like 14 on those eels, that make them just so deadly. They also have access to outflanking troops as well, when you can take the Soul Scry, who allows you to bring units on from the table edge and makes their charges that even better. And he can help make those eels get into combat even easier, but Idoneth have just such great movement, they don't even need to do these tricks with the eels to get them into combat. With that sort of movement, they will be flying across the tabletop and in range of charges easily most games turn 1. What's cool though is just because you've got all this fast movement and the fact you can also make them all battle line, except the Alapex is just the Achelian Guard here, by taking the Achelian King as your general, and or Volturnus, the High King. Idoneth Deepkin just make for a great movement army with their ability to fly and high movement values on their battle line option troops. They can just get to where they need to be easily and deal that damage and really play on the front foot. This combined with a bunch of their other rules really make them quite hard to pin down. Number 4, we have Nighthaunt, and Nighthaunt are in here because I want to talk about one amazing thing about the army, and a rule in particular that makes Nighthaunt great users of the movement phase, and that is the word fly. Fly is a fantastic ability as it means you ignore all vertical movement on terrain. This can give you a serious edge on the tabletop as it allows your entire army, when you're playing Nighthaunt, because everything has fly, the ability to just get where they need to be and not worry about obstacles in their way. There's tons of tricks you can do with this as well, and around combat as well, where if you're fighting 25mm based enemies, you can jump over with your pile-ins to fight enemies on either side, getting more Nighthaunt into the fight. And they've got other cool abilities with fly as well, like the Death Riders, where they can do mortal wounds when they fly over enemy units. But fly in general is just a fantastic ability, and an army that has access to flying troops that can also be hammers, like Nighthaunt, I guess, sort of do in their own right, just makes for a completely deadly army, making great use of the movement phase. You can make up for the lack of Nighthaunt strengths in other areas by really playing to its strength in the movement phase thanks to fly. Another army that we're going to talk about, a particular, I guess, play style in how you do the movement phase great with this army, is Beasts of Chaos. Beasts of Chaos are one of those armies that are considered quite underpowered at the current point in time by a lot of people. However, Beasts of Chaos have one thing going for them, and that is wave upon wave of bodies. Beasts of Chaos can take lots and lots of bodies in the army, and this really makes them great at playing the movement phase game. What they can do is something called flooding. This is the idea when they just put so many bodies on the board, they clog up the board and don't allow your opponent to do what they want to do. You don't care if 10 gore or 20 ungore die, because there's another 60 of those to come, and they're just clogging up the board, scoring points, and just stopping your opponent being able to do anything of note. Your opponent's got all these massive hammers, and it doesn't really matter if those hammers are killing 10 gores a turn, because you've got 150 bodies on the table in a 2,000 point army with Beasts of Chaos, and you don't care. Bodies on the board just clogging up the table is a great way to make use of the movement phase, and Beasts of Chaos do that better than anyone else. Number 6, we have the Maggotkin of Nurgle. Now, Maggotkin of Nurgle have a number of things that make them great in the movement phase. They are an army that is deceptively quick, so you do have some units that are flying, which really helps considering they are some of your toughest and most tanky units, and also pretty good damage dealers as well in the Pusgoyle Blightlords and the Plague Drones, the Plague Bearers and Pusgoyle Blightlords on the Plague Drone fly things. And you've also got access to the, I guess, feculent Nulmals, the Nurgle trees. Now, what these do is they allow Nurgle units around them to run and charge, and what happens is you gain this rule as soon as you move in range of them. So you can set these up mid-board at the start of the game, and you can then run onto them and then be able to charge off them. Pretty cool. You've also got things like the Great Unclean One, who rings his little bell, or big bell I should say, and gives you a bunch of movement benefits as well. And this just makes an army that you would think is otherwise quite sluggish and slow really, really fast on the tabletop. Nurgle are able to quickly get to where they need to be and then hold the enemy just from weight of wounds and a decent armor save as well, enabling you to play, I guess, a very defensive army, but a very fast, defensive, tanky army. And number 7, we have the Skaven. Now, Skaven are a great army in the movement phase for a couple of different reasons. Much like Beasts of Chaos, they're able to put a lot of units and models on the board, enabling them to clog up the table. But in addition to that, they've got some really cool terrain features like that the Gnorholes are that allow them to redeploy units across the table. They've also got strong casters, meaning they can get things like Soulscream Bridge and launch on the Soulseeker out really quick. If you're looking at endless spells, definitely go check out a video we gave for them on a beginner's guide to endless spells. But Skaven also can have tunneling teams with their Warp Grinders, and even Storm Fiends can tunnel as well in particular loadouts. This enables Skaven to play in the movement phase in a bunch of different ways, which is really fun, and what makes them great in it is that they can do loads of different things within that phase. Whether it's flooding the board, alpha striking with some tunnelers, or moving around your casters and your big blocks of troops around the board via Gnorholes skirting around the edges, Skaven have a multitude of different ways to play strongly in the movement phase. Thank you for watching the video though, we hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any ideas of other great movement armies, please leave them down in the comments below, as it all helps new players find exactly what they're looking for. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and while you're here, why not come join our Discord server, which you'll find a link to in the description of the video. Also, while you're on YouTube, go check out my featured channel section with a bunch of other fantastic Warhammer Age of Sigmar content creators there that put out everything from battle reports, lore videos, painting guides, and more and more. Lastly, we'd like to give a shout out to everyone who supports the channel via Patreon and YouTube members. Thank you to James, AJC, JC, Christian Weir, Philip Ward, Soren, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, Cowspawn, James Crowder, and Andrew Jarvis. Thank you all for supporting the channel, and if you'd like to help support the channel like they do, you can do so by following one of the links down in the description of the video. That's it for today, folks, though. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.